Video, yeah.
Good morning and welcome to the Scenic Regional Council special meeting for Wednesday the 10th of June 2026, and I declare the meeting open. I believe we have a full attendance today with Councillor Cryer from Division 2 joining us online. There are no apologies. I turn to declarations of interest by members. I believe there are none. And we'll now move to item 5.1 and call upon Councillor Cryer.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to introduce item 5.1, City Deal Public Art Project. I take the report as read, and I would like to move straight to the motion that Council continue to progress the South East Queensland City Deal Public Art Initiative project and confirm the funding allocated in the 2026 to 2027 capital budget.
Thank you, Councillor. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Sanders. Councillor Hay.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to... Chair, I'd like to indicate that I would like to present an alternate motion.
Thank you, Councillor Hay. Councillor Cryer, are you happy to review the alternate motion?
I'm happy to review, but I'd also like to speak to the report.
Okay. Are you happy to just allow Councillor Cryer to speak to the report and then we'll hear your alternative motion? Thank you, Councillor Cryer.
Thank you, Chair. This report seeks to confirm the direction of completing the City Deals Public Art project that has been funded in the 2025 to 2026 budget and pushed forward for delivery into the 2026-2027 budget. The project has received funding approval for $430,000 from the City Deals funding program. In reviewing the capital budget proposed for 2026 to 2027, consideration is to be given to continue with the project as planned. It's known as the Davidson Park Nature Play Space Project, and the delivery of the public art project was included in the original budget allocated through the budget process. While awaiting the confirmation of the City Deal funding throughout the year, the project was continued to be discussed with a design created, confirmed, and the documents prepared pending the funding approval. The tender process is also underway. So it's actually good to keep in mind that in order to be successful, the application submission process, the projects need to respond to the guideline objectives and selection criteria. I think this is quite a worthwhile, iconic project for the whole region, and I think moving forward it would be great to be able to fulfil this. Let's review the proposed alternative motion.
Thank you. With that said, Councillor Cryer, that you've made your presentation, I just ask for any questions from the floor regarding that. Councillor Moriarty.
Thank you, Chair. I just note with regard to Councillor Cryer's comments that the original motion on the 28th of May 2025 was for in principle approval only, subject to approval processes in the 26-27 budget process. So my question is to whoever feels equipped to answer the question is, Councillor Cryer also mentioned that the tender process was underway. I'm just curious as to who authorised the tender process to commence prior to the project funding being approved during the budget process 26-27 as required under the original motion. And my second question is that I believe the Mayor raised this matter with officers on the 7th of May 2026 and asked for it to be brought forward as part of budget discussions, and that has yet to happen. So I'm just asking why that has not yet happened. Thank you.
Through Mr. Mayor. Director.
So, yep.
looks like I'm answering the questions. In response to the first tender, I did not provide the authority for the tender to be released. I would have to refer that to the delivery side of the organisation, but the project funding has been provided. The project has been planned for delivery. I just remind council that when you adopt a budget and a budget review, you are adopting a multi-year budget. I have since walked in the door, talked about multi-year budgets, the current year plus the 2 financial years forward, and a 10-year financial plan, which is adopted at each time the budget is reviewed. The report to council has come forward now. It was raised by the Mayor to me. It has come up through deliberations. This report is here now. The budget has been very slow in progressing and the time for discussions have not necessarily been dedicated. So the report is here now for council's consideration and direction.
Thank you for that response. I would like to look at the alternative motion before asking further questions or comments. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, Mr Mayor, if I could, through the Chair. Can you just confirm the tender closes on the 15th of June 2026? It's in 5 days' time, is that correct?
Through you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, that is correct. The tender has currently been advertised through vendor panel on our website and closes on the 15th.
Can I ask when the tender was released?
You can
What
indeed,
date?
Mr Mayor. I can confirm, councillors, that the opening date for the tender was the 14th of May. The closing date for the tender is the 15th of June.
So that was post the 7th of May when I asked the question of bringing it back for budget deliberations.
No.
Sorry, Councillor Crowe?
No, I believe that this is all in the project funding schedule that was put forward with, it was included with the whole process of the application and it was, the whole was approved, but they were awaiting the actual funding, the physical funding allocation to come through from the funding bodies being the state and federal governments. So it has a project funding schedule which needs to be followed in order to meet the completion time of March 2027.
That wasn't my question.
But you asked if the date for the fund, so it has it following a funding schedule, so it's kind of irrelevant in whether it's questioned of how, if it needs to be halted or carried on, because it's just following a project funding schedule for this particular project.
My question was, when I raised the matter on the 7th of May, and just to explain so the public is clear, I was called into a meeting with directors and the CEO that day over which has since been reported to the public, the crisis and emergency that occurred at Brommelton Waste Facility, which has had major budget implications, operationally and capital-wise, as part of our deliberations. This will have a need to find or alternatively put up rates significantly. So I raised
Point of order, Mr Mayor. Point of order, Mr Mayor. This is a special meeting to discuss the City Deal public art project as per your request. We are not here to discuss budget items, so we're not here to discuss cost overridings or anything other than that project. If you continue to pursue this line of questioning, I will have to progress a motion that the chairperson is engaging in unsuitable meeting conduct as per the standing orders and model meeting procedures.
Point of order noted, and if you'll look to, I'm talking specifically at that meeting about the City Deal, and it is noted in this report that it has budget implications, and they were in principle agreements in relation to those budget implications, and that an ongoing budget review is to occur. Thank you, Councillor. To complete that, I put that forward on the 7th of May and had not heard anything back. What I pointed out, Councillor Cryer, that was a week before the tender process went out and budget deliberations occurred in between that time. Thank you. Any other questions?
Yes, through the chair, I have a question for whomever may wish to answer it. Can we clarify that the pig and calf sale yard project is a completely separate matter and it is a complementary project to run in conjunction with the City Deal project? And the discussion today has nothing whatsoever to do with the pig and calf sale yard changes. There is some misinformation circulating in the public arena about this, and it has been put forward also in the public domain that this is an attempt to circumvent the pig and calf sale yards changes. So would anyone like to comment on that? Thank you.
Mr Mayor, Director.
Thank you, CEO. Mr Mayor, through you, Mr Mayor, councillors, I can confirm the pig and calf project is an independent and separate project, both being run from a project delivery perspective as well as a separate budgeted item within council's program.
Thank you. Councillor Moriarty.
I'd just like to ask a question as well, Chair, please. Just seeking confirmation that the $430,000 SEQ City Deal Public Art Initiative is not at risk in this discussion as such. We are only considering further budget allocations from Council's own funds to contribute to the project. So no one is suggesting that the $430,000 SEQ City Deal Public Art Initiative money is at risk and will be lost to the Council or the people of the Scenic Rim. The purpose of the discussion is about further contributions from Council's own funds to any project that goes ahead.
Councillor Moriarty, who are you directing your question to?
I'll just direct it to anyone who's able to answer that question for me, that the City Deal funding is not at risk. Just confirmation, sorry.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I certainly can't comment on the intent of Council's discussion here today, but what I can confirm is that the project has an overall budget allocation. That budget allocation has multiple components. One component of that is the $430,000 arising from the City Deals Public Art Initiative. That $430,000 is an allocation to Scenic Rim Council for the purposes of meeting the Public Art Initiative guidelines as incorporated within the Greater City Deal program. The remainder of the funding is council allocation that will link what is in effect an infrastructure delivery program for water play and uplift of Davidson Park to an integrated public art component.
The question.
Thank you.
Just before we, any comment from Director Bradshaw in relation to that question?
No, Mr Mayor.
I'll make some attempt to answer that question. I think there's always a risk, Councillor, but I did contact ComSec to ask them the question and have received a reply. I also requested that that be sent to Council and asked them if Council had reached out and made the same sort of queries. I'll just read the correspondence from ComSec. Hi, Mayor Sharp. Thanks for touching base re the public art project for which Scenic Rim Regional Council has received a $430,000 allocated funding through the SEQ City Deal. Noting the period between the announcement of the art initiative and the awarding of the successful projects in May 2026, it could be reasonable for Council to reassess its project and funding position, particularly in the context of cost escalation and a changing fiscal environment. While the Public Art Initiative guidelines, and they are attached and they're also attached in today's special meeting agenda, do not explicitly provide the project withdrawal. Typically, councils may seek to vary, substitute or withdraw projects through established SEQ City Deal governance processes. Any such requests must be made in writing and requires consideration and approval of government partners through the City Deal governance. Scenic Rim may wish to consider the following options: project variation, project substitution, or full withdrawal from funding. And on it goes. Does that assist in answering your question, Councillor Moriarty?
Yes, thank you, Chair. It's quite obvious that there's alternatives, that the funding is not at risk. Thank you.
Councillor Sanders, you have a question. Could I just ask one question as an extension of Councillor Moriarty's question while we're on the subject, and then I'll come back to you. I note in the agenda today there's only two options presented. One is that council continue, or two, council does not to continue and actually withdraws from the project altogether, sacrificing the $430,000. My question to the council is, why would they only present those two options and not a variation to secure that $430,000 for the people of the Scenic Rim?
Can I answer that?
Sorry.
Yeah, go.
To the officer first, if I may, Councillor Cryer, and then we turn to you.
Okay.
What's been put forward takes into consideration the dates at which that project is currently operating under. So whilst that project started some years back, it has a completion date of the 31st of March 2027. The work that has been scheduled is planned around trying to achieve that particular date. In drafting the report, consideration was given to other options at the time, but given the time frame that we're working towards, the size of the existing capital program, an alternative motion for a further substitution or variation or amendment to the project was considered, but at a practical level wasn't offered to be able to be achieved within the timeline of funding and delivery that is available to this project. There's been no confirmation provided as to whether or not that deadline of the 31st of March 2027 would be amended at any point. So on the best available advice, the project was proposed to either proceed or to stop on that basis, acknowledging that there are other options that could be delivered. Council has a pretty extensive program at the moment that needs to be delivered next financial year. Happy to take direction from the council.
Councillor Cryer.
Thank you, Chair. The project is a public art initiative. If you were to redirect or look to swapping out or altering or invariating the project, it's still, I would believe, have to meet the guidelines under which the submission is first made, and those guidelines stipulate that it's a public art project for the excitement and the pride of the community, and it's not it has to be for an eligible project, not an ineligible project, which is something to do with administrative or operational works of council, as said in the guidelines. So if you are looking to reallocate the funding, I don't believe that that's possible under these guidelines for this particular project. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think to answer that question is no. We're not looking to... The reason why this has been questioned, Councillor, is the crisis that this council is in, using ratepayers' money for the project. This is an untied funding project, and I'm not looking to vary the $430,000 whatsoever, and that it must meet the conditions. What we're looking is for a scope change in terms of that variation to apply that $430,000 funding from the federal government. Councillor Sanders? Sorry.
Oh, can I ask first, so a scope change, what does that entail, please?
That would be a revision of the project to reduce the financial scope back to the $430,000, or to put in a project substitution. And note within the report there are a number of other projects that have been put forward.
Do we know if these other projects will meet the criteria, because they were not submitted? So we have no way of knowing whether they actually will meet the criteria of the guidelines.
I dare say, as an art project, I'd have to call on the officers to see the ability of council to meet the criteria.
No, I'm first, next.
Can I ask another question? Would that not involve additional costs to produce yet another application to see if these projects would meet the guideline criteria?
I dare say there will be officers' hours involved, but certainly not to the tune of $470,000.
Can I please point out that $120,000 is public art money already allocated in the previous budget over the 2 years?
Absolutely, and fully agree. Councillor Sanders, you.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Kerry Cryer, what? I didn't
Councillor
catch that
Cryer.
Yes, so is that, when you mentioned 470,000, Mayor, is that to be also including the 120 to be reallocated as well?
I think that's what should go into the budget review, absolutely. And for councillors to decide, particularly given the current, and as pointed out in this agenda, the consideration of our fiscal situation and our financial sustainability.
Can I ask another question in relation to that comment? In that currently with the budget, that draft budget for this budget for 2026, 2027, the discussions are, we are well able to include this project within the budget at the moment currently, and to come out not looking too bad at the other end. So I think we're discussing the budget. This, particularly the 120 was already determined in the previous budget for the 2 years to go into this project. The remaining 350,000 is, I think, where your bone of contention is, and that is a very small amount, in the overall scheme of things, but it's a big thing in this project.
I think you're making a,
To do this
Councillor
project.
Cryer, are you asking a question or making a statement? Are you talking,
Oh, okay.
you're actually talking for the motion now?
Okay, yes, I'm talking for the motion. I apologise. It did go into talking to the motion. Yeah.
Councillor Sanders, have you got a question?
Yes, I do have a question. Mr Mayor, at the strategy workshop on Wednesday the 3rd of June, you said there was $430,000. It was a gift. You said it was untied. We could use it any way we want to. Can you please clarify that, because I cannot find any gift money. I can't find any untied money at all.
Okay, so I did use the word gift. If you look at that as substituting for grant, a gift, a grant, whatever you want to call it. I think the good thing about that is that meeting was recorded. Councillor Sanders? I don't believe I said you can use it for anything at all. What I did say is that the $430,000 in relation to that city deal, arts funding, is untied funding. What council proposed to put up was $470,000 of ratepayers' money, and in the situation that this council is in now, is to bring this forward to review, and that's why we're here today, to see if a project of this nature is a priority, or the waste solution, or the roads are a far greater priority to the people that you represent. And in my mind, right now, in the situation this council has you and
Speaking of the
other
motion, Mayor.
Yeah. Can you put the motion?
certainly.
Put the motion.
I'm responding to Councillor Sanders' question.
Grandstanding.
Point of order. Okay, enough. Everyone be warned, just please behave. Councillor Sanders, if no further questions, Councillor Hay, would you like to put your alternative motion?
Yes, thank you, Chair. If we could put it up on the screen.
Hang on, can we just check the point of order? I just want to make sure that we're doing this the right way. Is that actually a way we're supposed to do it? Or are we supposed to go straight with the motion first?
We've got an alternative motion that we'll review the alternative first.
Thank you. Yeah, I did ask for the motion to be put.
No.
No, my motion to, yeah.
You've got to deal with the current motion.
Well, I'd raised earlier that we would allow Councillor Cryer to put her report and take questions, and then I called in the meeting earlier, then I would allow Councillor Sanders to put her alternative motion.
Procedure says, I think you'll just check it. I think I've got to, I've put it, asked for a put the motion. Am I right?
I can't hear anything.
Wait a second.
But we've got an alternative motion. So when we take an alternative motion,
You can flag it as a motion, you can't put
right.
the motion as well.
Yeah.
We've got a motion moved and seconded, so we've got to do it now.
Sorry, I'm just trying to check on.
I do think that's how we've done it.
Through you, Mr Mayor, in my experience, the motion gets put at the beginning. Someone foreshadows an alternate motion.
Which we've
is
had.
what-
Yep. Sorry, thank you.
Which should the original motion fail, then it goes back to the other motion. So I'm not sure if we did approach this in the correct manner at the beginning of this discussion.
All right. For the sake of that, we will put Councillor Sanders' motion to
Councillor Sanders' motion.
Councillor Cryer's motion for the floor. Councillor Cryer, you've spoken to your motion. Is there anyone wishing to speak against the motion? Councillor Hay?
Thank you, Chair. I would like to speak against this motion based on the following factors: that the original motion on the 28th of May 2025 was for in-principle approval only, and it clearly stated it was subject to budget approval processes in the future. I don't believe that we've actually satisfied that part of that motion. Point 3 of the original motion was for $120,000 to be allocated over 2 years from the existing public art budget, and point 4 of the original motion was for an additional $350,000 in the capital budget for 2026-2027. Those two amounts are both to come out of council's own funds. They're not subject to a grant or any input from other levels of government. So that means that we'd be looking for $350,000 plus $120,000 from council funds. And as has been stated, we are in fairly dire circumstances financially. The financial situation was not evident at the time the original motion was passed. We've sort of been overtaken somewhat by the waste issues, the blowout with Gallery Walk car park.
Mr Mayor, I'm sorry, point of order. This is again a meeting to discuss the City Deals public art project, not here to discuss budget items, cost overruns or anything other than this project. I understand we're trying to make points. I understand that we want to bring those sort of things in, but we've got to come back to what the points actually are that we're stating here. We've got this motion. This is what we're talking about. This is where we go. I'm sorry, we keep on going off on tangents.
May I continue?
If you may, so point of order noted, yes, you will be able to continue, Hay, as you were talking directly to the motion. And if you look at the previous motion, it is raised in point 3, subject to budget approval processes. Point 4, subject to budget approval processes. Budget is core to this discussion. And it is a priority for the councillors to consider how they wish ratepayers' money to be spent. Please continue, Councillor Hay.
I'd just conclude my comments by stating that under the current financial situation that council finds itself in, hopefully through no fault of its own, but that's yet to be revealed, I just can't condone that we will put another $120,000 plus $350,000 of ratepayers' money towards this project. There is no notion that we will hand back the $430,000, and I think that would be evident if I ever get the opportunity to present my alternate motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Anyone wishing to talk for the motion?
For the motion?
For the motion.
Yes, sir. I'll talk for the motion. Look, we've been down a fairly substantial road since the last election. We did agree that that we needed to upgrade our engagement metrics. We needed to go back to the public and find out exactly what they wanted. And we have done public consultation and expanded the scope. The consultation that was done in December 24 and in February 25, and we've done resolutions. We do have budget constraints. There's no need to panic. We need to focus on what's important. We've talked to people. We've been as transparent as we possibly can. We need to trust ourselves and our executive team and work together to make a plan for our future. We know that. We just can't panic. This is not a crisis scenario. We need to focus and deal with the issue. This we've promised. We've promised to the people. We've been out, we've told them, we've asked them, we've consulted, we've done everything transparently. We're near the end of the, while it has been delayed, we're near the end of this process where we've gone out to tender. We're 5 days away. This is not the time to suddenly panic and pull up stumps.
Thank you, Councillor. And I note your comments about the referring to the budget. Councillor Moriarty.
Thank you, Chair. I'll speak against the motion, if I may. I think the alternative motion that all councillors have had the opportunity to have a look at, that was proposed by Councillor Hay and may not yet see the light of day, offers a much more sensible and pragmatic approach to the whole issue. Amended motion addresses the fact that the original motion that was passed on the 28th of May 2025 was for in principle support only and subject to further budget discussions in the 26-27 year. Neither of those things, well, it hasn't, as we found out throughout the discussion, we haven't had the opportunity to discuss that. And if we had, it may well be that council decided to progress, but the due process has not been followed. As we found out, the tender process was commenced. No one seems to know who authorised it, but the tender process was commenced to continue this progress despite in principle only support being given for approval of the project. The proposed motion, I should say, the alternative motion that Councillor Hay had suggested would ensure that at least the $430,000 SEQ City Deal Public Art Initiative could still be utilised for a significant project at no extra expense to the ratepayers, which essentially presents null and void a lot of the arguments that have been presented for the current motion as it stands. And I, for one, if I was aware of the current fiscal situation that council finds itself in with certain cost blowouts and so on and so forth back in 2025 when the original motion was proposed for in principle support, I for one would not have supported that motion at that time, knowing what I know now about the financial status of council. So I can't support this motion as it stands. I think there's a much more pragmatic, common sense, better way to approach the matter without putting the City Deals funding of $430,000 at risk. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wishing to talk for the motion?
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Councillor Cryer, it's your motion. We will, at the end of the debate, we will come back to you.
Yes.
Can I
Councillor,
ask a question?
yes, you can ask a question.
This is to Councillor Moriarty. Why would you think that the 430,000 would be at risk? The only way it's going to be at risk is we don't progress with this proposed art project. Can you please clarify?
Thank you for the question, Councillor Cryer. I believe I said that the 430,000 is not at risk by pursuing the course of action as proposed by Councillor Hay. I didn't say it would be at risk. There's no reason I think it'd be at risk. The Mayor made it quite clear through the communications he had with ComSec earlier in the meeting that ComSec are quite open to reviewing, reallocating, repurposing the money. It will still be a public art initiative. We were presented, council were presented with a number of options back in May in 2025, a number of small options, but we chose to go with the one big option at the time. You made a comment yourself earlier saying that we wouldn't have any, other projects, whether they would be suitable or approved. Well, I'm imagining the projects that were offered brought before council. I seem to recall you said we had no guarantee that the other projects or any projects would be approved under the City Deals project, but if I'm incorrect, I apologise, but I thought that's what you said.
No, that's not what you said. Sorry, Councillor Moriarty, that's not what you actually said first. You said that we didn't have any other projects. So you said I said we didn't have any other projects. I did not say that. I said we did not have any other, we did not know whether the other projects that we do have would meet the criteria because we have not submitted them.
So
that is what I said.
Absolutely were not submitted, but I'm assuming that the officers that put time and effort into preparing those proposals would be aware of the guidelines for the submission at the time and wouldn't have wasted time and money preparing projects or coming up with projects that were not suitable under the guidelines. So we can only assume that those projects would be suitable. I apologise.
Excuse me, they were not progressed any further than a particular proposal of when we were presented with the two options, we were asked which one should they progress with. The other three smaller projects were not progressed to the point where that they would be able to be submitted. So you can make all the assumptions you like, but that didn't happen. And, if you're going to make assumptions, can I not make an assumption that the public art project money that was put forward in the previous budget, can I not assume that that will stay in the public art project?
That's all still available as per the alternative motion that Councillor Hay had proposed to present, would still all be up for approval by council, and there's nothing in Councillor Hay's alternative motion that would preclude that from happening.
Yeah, we haven't got an alternate motion at this point, but as brought
Yes, we cannot comment on it.
So is there anyone wishing to talk for the motion?
Yes, Mayor, I'll speak for the motion. I find, and I'm probably not the most cultural person around, but I think we shouldn't be going back on our word where we've, over the last couple of years, we've talked with the people of Bay Desert and what we've got in plans. It's, we could do a half a job, and that's not just going to, it's better doing no job at all. We've got options. If we're allowed to speak on the budget, there's tens of millions of dollars of capital there to be done. I don't know why this is the only one that's been singled out for actually pushing it to the side. And I just think it's, for our credibility wise, we have to keep it going. We're well down the track with the tenders, and if I give in principle support, I expect it to be transferring down the track and doing, and it'll come back with reports as we move down the track further. So I haven't got any problem with taking the tender process as they did a couple of months or 6 weeks ago or whatever when they started it. It was a natural progression as far as I'm concerned, but I'm in support that we continue down this track.
Thank you. Anyone wishing to talk against the motion? I will talk against the motion. Number one, it is not to deny the people of this region the art initiative and the $430,000 allocation. It is to pursue that allocation via the alternatives that are presented by ComSec and the precedent that was done through the Livability Fund, where councils had to resubmit due to either market changes or fiscal changes within their council. The point I make is that the $470,000 that has been allocated to this project of ratepayers' money, in my consideration, under the current circumstances that we're presented in the economic climate, not only of this council, but also the state and the country, that the priorities for $470,000 are far greater than this art initiative, and that they should be considered as part of the budget deliberations. I also point out that this project is not singled out as part of the budget deliberations. All capital items, all operational services are currently under review, and it is not being singled out, but it is one that was raised that never brought back to council's attention. I cannot vote for this on the basis that the priorities are far greater than spending close to $500,000 of public money when their priority in this region is roads and waste and rates. Thank you. Anyone wishing to talk for the motion? Councillor Chalk.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll support the motion today. Like, we've progressed down this path. We've allocated some time and energy as a council to progress this. It's a good opportunity for us to leverage this art money into something real, rather than just paint on a wall or a sculpture in a park. It's something that the community, a growing community like Bay Desert, can really activate that space. So I believe it's a good opportunity to leverage that money. I agree with the sentiments in the room, I think expressed by Councillor McGuinness, that we've got a capital budget and there's plenty of things going in other divisions that, you know, if the mayor is actually true to his word, then we'll have to be cut out all the nice to haves. But this idea of roads, rates and rubbish as our only priority is just a myth, really. The councils have never only
Point of order
on this. So.
I never said it was our only priority. I said key priorities, Councillor Chalk.
Yeah, well, it's never been the case. We've always had to deal with planning and compliance, and we've always maintained parks and gardens, and we've always done the lawn mowing, and we've always done cultural centres and libraries. We've always provided those things. So oversimplifying things to little statements like that just don't help the situation. So we've acknowledged that we have problems at the waste centre, and they're mostly in the operational side of things. This is a capital item, so it's not going to do anything to ease that burden, but we're working our way through it. The waste can be looked at as a business into the future, which I believe will return that investment for the community if we stay to the course. So I'm certainly not confusing the two. More than happy to have discussions about other ideas and projects to save money, but I really don't know why we're here today in a special meeting doing this when we've gone down the road considerable amount of way to deliver something for the community. So I'm going to support it, and yes.
Point of order, Carl, I wanted to let you finish, but I think that's completely misleading that it's a capital item. It is an item that's come out of general revenue, to confirm that through the director, and that is not a matter of whether it's capital operational, it's just a matter that it's being directed. It can be redirected back to the director.
The project is a capital item. The capital budget sits outside of the funding of the operating budget. In presenting the information in the budget session so far, I've clearly drawn the distinction between what is in the operating budget and what is in the capital budget. There is general revenue generated from ratepayer cash funding portions of the capital expenditure program. The capital expenditure program that is proposed is balanced by the sources of funding that include other external funding, whether that be loan, grant, subsidy, or external funds. The operating budget carries the majority of the operating revenue for the organisation. This project sits on the capital side, but it is funded by general revenue.
And that's the point I make. I did not argue that it's been allocated as a capital item. My argument is that it comes out of general revenue, and it can be directed as capital or operational. Thank you. You have a question, Councillor Sanders?
Just wanting to vote.
Could we wait? Well, it's called.
Order. Thank you. No, not just yet, Councillor Sanders. We've exhausted for those that can talk in the negative. So with your permission, Councillor Sanders, I'll turn to Councillor Cryer to allow her to sum up.
Thank you, Chair. This City Art Deal project for public art, and as we've just now witnessed, public art seems to be a very soft target, that taking away the funds which are actually allocated for public art, and the extra money is for 350,000 is a very small amount in the whole scheme of things to contribute to, in conjunction with the 430,000 from the Australian government and Queensland government, will deliver a public art within the southeast Queensland that contributes to place-based activation and delivers enhancements to the built environment. It will create new and engaging public art in our local community that supports cultural tourism. It also will support job creation and local businesses through the wider outcomes of delivering this project. It also maximises opportunities for First Nations people because that is also included within the artwork itself. It complements the Australian government, the Queensland government, and our local government priorities, initiatives and strategies, and they are the very things that underpin the objectives of this initiative. So through supporting this art project and not redirecting money to other projects which would wholly and solely be ineligible, as I mentioned, roads, rates and rubbish, this is for our community. This is something that they can be proud of and have community spirit for. It's something that will enhance the cultural experience and also the aesthetic of the built environment in which we have, and that's why this project was chosen in the first place as an iconic project for our region. So the amount of money we're talking about is very small in the whole scheme of things, and what has been hailed as the crisis of our council, when just moving forward, this is something that people could have pride for their region and want to live here and just enjoy being part of the Scenic Room itself. So to cut this out is wholly and solely against cutting this project out. It can only be bigger and better as we move forward for our Scenic Room, and give people a sense of pride, community, local identity, and also social cohesion, which is very important in this time of community uproots, when people are experiencing economic pressure, that they have something where they can take their families to enjoy the water play. There's no cost to them. That was certainly a criteria of this project, that there be no cost for entry, public entry. So it's something for our community. I think to take this away would be a great disservice to our community, and that's what I would like to say. Thank you.
Question to you, Councillor
No
Cryer.
questions. We've exhausted questions.
Well, a point of order that you're suggesting that the 430 would be withdrawn, but that is not what was in the discussion. So I'll make that point of order. And again, cite it.
Not withdrawn, redirected. Sorry, redirected. I said redirected, not withdrawn. I said this project to be withdrawn, not the money. I said the money to be redirected is ultimately causing the cancellation of this project, and that to me is a great disservice to our community.
But not the art initiative to fulfil all the objectives set out. I put it to the members.
Sorry? Okay.
Not the initiative, Councillor Cryer, is what I'm saying. I put it to the members. Those in favour of the motion? Councillor Cryer? In favour. Those against? And the motion is carried. Call for a division. Those in favour were Councillors 2, 4, 5 and 6. Those against, the Mayor, Division 1 and Division 3. With that item now, and that motion now concluded, that draws the special meeting to an end at 9:52 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you.